Emma Lawson had always believed that music could heal anything. For years, her late father's piano had been the soul of her little suburban home. It sat by the window, its surface polished smooth by decades of memories. But one November morning, when she pressed her fingers on its familiar ivory keys, a sharp crack split the melody, one string snapped, followed by another dull note that refused to sound. Her heart sank. The charity concert for the Children's Hospital was in just 4 days. Emma had promised to perform, to bring music back into the same community that had once helped her father through his illness. That piano wasn't just an instrument, it was her connection to him. She tried tightening the strings herself, fumbling through online tutorials, but her hands trembled. She wasn't just fixing wood and wire, she was trying to fix time, memory, and grief. Finally, she gave in and called the first repair service that answered. The next morning, a light blue van pulled up in front of her house. A man stepped out, tall, in his early 30s, brown hair peeking out from a cap, carrying a case of tools. He smiled, extending his hand. "Morning, ma'am, Luke Miller. You called about a piano repair?" Emma nodded quickly, leading him inside. "Yes, please, it's really important. I need it for an event this weekend." Luke knelt beside the piano, running his fingers gently over the cracked wood. "This is a beautiful instrument," he murmured. "They don't make them like this anymore." As he opened the lid, Emma watched him work in silence. The rhythmic sound of tools clicking against metal, the faint scent of polish, it all reminded her of her father tuning the same piano years ago. She blinked away the memory. Hours passed. The rain outside grew heavier. Luke leaned back, wiping his hands. "I'll have to order a few parts. I can come back tomorrow to finish the job." Emma's stomach knotted. "Please," she said softly. "Don't stop now. I know it's late, but this piano means everything. I can make you coffee, or dinner, anything, just please, don't stop fixing it." Luke hesitated. There was something in her tone, not desperation, but deep emotion, a plea that came from somewhere far beyond the music. He nodded. "All right, I'll stay." That night, as thunder rolled outside, Emma sat across from Luke while he worked. They talked about nothing and everything. He told her about growing up around music, his mother being a piano teacher before she lost her hearing. She shared how her father had taught her to play, and how his last song had been on that very instrument. When he finished tightening the final string, the clock showed midnight. He pressed a key. The note rang clear, bright, and full of life. Emma gasped. Tears filled her eyes as she touched the piano again. "You fixed it," she whispered. Luke smiled. "No, you just needed someone to remind you it could still sing." The next morning, she practiced until her fingers ached. Each note felt like a heartbeat coming back to life. Luke stopped by every day after that, not just to check the tuning but to listen. The two became friends, sharing stories, coffee, and quiet evenings filled with laughter. On the day of the concert, Emma stood backstage trembling. The hall was filled with people. The old piano, now shining and sturdy, waited at the center. Luke sat among the crowd, giving her a small, encouraging nod. As the first note echoed through the room, Emma felt everything: loss, gratitude, and a strange new hope. The sound carried her father's memory but also her own rebirth. When the final chord rang out, the audience rose in applause. Tears streamed down her face as she looked toward Luke. After the event, she found him waiting outside. "You stayed through it all," she said. He smiled gently. "You asked me not to stop fixing it, and I didn't." They stood in silence as the evening sky turned gold. Over time, their bond deepened into something unspoken yet warm. Not romance at first, but a quiet understanding between two people who had both lost and found something through music. Luke helped her restore other instruments for the community center. Emma started teaching free piano lessons for kids who couldn't afford them. Months passed, filled with small miracles. The piano never broke again, and every time Emma played it, she remembered that one night when everything changed, not because someone repaired a piano, but because someone cared enough to stay. In the end, Emma realized something profound. Sometimes, when we beg someone not to stop fixing what's broken, we're not really talking about the object, we're talking about ourselves. Luke had fixed the piano, yes. But he had also reminded her how to hope again. And every note she played from then on carried the sound of that hope, strong, steady, and everlasting.